This video shows a courtroom moment that quickly turns into a complete legal meltdown, and you can feel the tension from the very first seconds. What should have been a routine court hearing instead becomes a shocking display of irresponsibility, confusion, and consequences unfolding in real time. The defendant, Mr. Michael, appears on Zoom nearly 2 hours late, and it doesn't take long for the judge to realize something is seriously wrong. His speech is slurred, his movements are erratic, and he struggles to stay focused or even sit still. The judge repeatedly pauses the hearing, trying to determine whether he is sober enough to understand what's happening, a basic requirement for any court proceeding. Things get even worse when it's revealed that Mr. Michael didn't join the hearing on his own. Officers had to go to his house and physically wake him up just to get him to court. The judge makes it clear. Without that intervention, he would already be facing a bench warrant. Instead of gratitude, the situation spirals further as concerns grow about possible drug or alcohol impairment. As the charges are read, including domestic battery, disorderly conduct, and criminal damage to property, it becomes obvious that this is not a joking matter. These are serious offenses with real jail time attached, yet the defendant appears disconnected from reality. Ultimately, the judge reaches a breaking point. Unable to confirm that Mr. Michael understands his rights or the charges against him, she orders his immediate arrest. He is taken into custody to be tested and held until sober, proving one harsh truth: when you show up to court unprepared, impaired, and disrespectful, the law doesn't wait, it responds.
On since 3:30. Yeah, I didn't know my video wasn't working.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you're not there when I call your name. You owe those officers that came by your house a debt of gratitude, or you'd be sitting in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
We thank them for coming by and making that public service to you.
We're working now, ma'am.
I'm serious, Mr. Michael. You owe those gentlemen some gratitude.
For sure.
If they hadn't been willing to go by your house and wake you up, I would have just issued bench warrants.
Thank you.
All right, let's get
My
on.
video is working, isn't it?
Let's get on with the order of business here. You were supposed to be here at 1:30 and it is now 3:05, and you wouldn't even be here now if the officers hadn't gone to your house or wherever you are and woke you up. Apparently you're not at home.
Yeah, ma'am. Not until this court date, I hope.
Apparently they knew where to find you. So again, you're lucky in that respect. All right, we're going on the record now, sir. Are you awake?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure you understand what's going on, where you are?
Yes, Judge.
All right. We are on the record in 2023 CR 80 and 2023 CR 96, both captioned State of Kansas versus Jacob William Michael. The state appears by and through County Attorney Jill Gillette. Mr. Michael appears in person and pro se via Zoom. It is now 3:07 p.m. and he was to be here at 1:30. He called in and then apparently fell asleep and didn't answer. So the officers had to go by his home to try to find him, to wake him up.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't find him, so they went to another location he might be at, and they found him and woke him up. This was a public service the officers did. They didn't have to, but they have saved bench warrants for Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, you need to pick a location, stay seated, and keep your camera on you, please. Appearance in 2023 CR 80. In this case, the state is charging you in count 1 with domestic battery, that on or about the 22nd day of April 2023 in Greenwood County, state of Kansas, you did unlawfully and intentionally cause physical contact with a family or household member in a rude, insulting, or angry manner, the family member being this. Okay, keep your camera where I can see you, please. Thank you. Thank you. As charged, this is a Class B person misdemeanor. There is a mandatory must serve 48 hours in jail up to 6 months. There is a mandatory minimum fine of $200 up to $1,000. Now, the court can waive the jail time if instead you do a certified domestic violence offender evaluation by a certified evaluator and comply with all the recommendations of that evaluation. In count 2, sir, you're accused of disorderly conduct. The state is alleging that at that same date, you did use fighting words or engage in noisy conduct tending reasonably to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others, to wit, Aubrey Maxwell. This charge is a Class C misdemeanor. If convicted, you could serve another 30 days in jail and you could pay another fine of $500. In count 3, you're charged with criminal damage to property. The state is alleging on that same date, you did, by means other than fire explosive, either damage or destroy or deface or substantially impair the use of property, to wit, a cell phone, in which another, to wit, Aubrey Maxwell, had an interest without her consent, and that the damage you did was under $1,000. As charged, this is a Class B non-person misdemeanor. You could serve another 6 months in jail and pay another $1,000 fine. Mr. Michael, do you have any questions about these charges or their possible penalties that I could help you with today?
No, ma'am, other day. Whatever. I mean, it don't mean anything. Just the other than I didn't understand what happened to. But no, ma'am.
Mr. Michael, are you on any drugs today or alcohol?
No, ma'am. I'm sitting on the edge of bed and I can sit up a little bit.
You're still what?
I'm sitting on the edge of bed. On the edge of a bed, I can sit up a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm just concerned about your slurred speech and your jerky movements there. That maybe you're under the influence of something.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you understand what you're doing today and what's being said.
Yeah, I do a lot there.
Okay. Are the officers still with you?
I know they came hard. I mean, but they actually, I did fall asleep, but I woke up before they came in here and told me.
All right. We're going to go on. 2023 CR 96. Did you say the officers were still there?
No, ma'am, they're not.
Okay. In 2023 CR 80, you're charged in that case. That's one we just did. Excuse me just a moment. I'm going to take just a brief recess.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, where did he go? Ms. Gillette, do you want to unmute?
I don't know, Judge, but the officers are there outside his house still.
Well, if he were in the courthouse in this condition, I would order him to be taken into custody and tested because I don't know that he's going to remember this hearing. So he's failing to appear. Can we just have him brought into custody and tested? And then if he's still, basically I'm issuing a bench warrant for his arrest. And if they'll bring him in and get him tested, and if he's sober, they can bring him back in front of me at the courthouse. If he's high, we're going to have to wait until he comes out of it so that he'll know, because he's got to have a meaningful reading of rights and charges. And I just am afraid he's, like I said, not going to even remember this hearing.
So you want a bench warrant with the UA ordered?
We may even need something stronger than that. We can start with you.
I'll call the officers and I'll get that done, Judge.
Okay. Thank you.
Judge, he's on the phone and he's going to try to log back in.
Okay, well, I still want him to pick him up. So just you say they're outside his house, just have him wait a minute, Missy, and don't tell him they're going to come in and get him because I don't want him to bolt on him. He's just not in any condition right now for first appearances. And he was ordered to be here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm issuing a bench warrant for them to pick him up.
Okay. So do you want him to try to get back on or not?
No, he needs to be tested. I need to make sure he's sober enough to know what he's doing when we have these hearings. So, Ms. Gillette.
This video captures a courtroom hearing that slowly collapses into one of the most uncomfortable legal disasters you'll ever witness. From the moment the session begins, there's a sense that something isn't right. Time passes. The court waits. The judge remains on record, expecting a defendant who is nowhere to be seen. Nearly 2 hours go by before the Zoom screen finally flickers to life. And when the defendant appears, it immediately becomes clear that this delay is only the beginning of the problem. Mr. Michael joins the hearing looking disoriented, unfocused, and completely unprepared. His eyes wander. His body moves erratically. He can't seem to sit still for more than a few seconds at a time. When he speaks, his words come out slurred and uneven, forcing the judge to ask him to repeat himself again and again. Each attempt to communicate only deepens the court's concern. The judge tries to establish basic facts. Simple questions are asked. Do you understand why you're here? Can you hear the court clearly? Are you able to follow what's being said? Instead of clear answers, the responses are slow, confusing, and often off-topic. At several moments, the judge pauses completely, clearly questioning whether continuing the hearing is even appropriate. As the discussion continues, an astonishing detail emerges. Mr. Michael didn't show up to court on his own. Law enforcement officers had to go to his home and physically wake him up after he overslept and missed his scheduled appearance. The judge emphasizes just how serious that is. Without that intervention, a bench warrant would have already been issued. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a technical issue. This was a failure to take the court seriously. Rather than showing appreciation or accountability, Mr. Michael appears detached, almost unaware of how close he came to immediate arrest. The judge explains that court is not optional, and appearing on time is the bare minimum expectation. The fact that officers had to rescue him from the consequences of his own absence is described as extraordinary. Attention then shifts to Mr. Michael's condition. The judge openly expresses concern that he may be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. His movements are jerky. His eyes appear bloodshot. He sways, fidgets, and struggles to remain focused on the screen. The judge reminds him that a defendant must be sober to meaningfully understand their rights, the charges against them, and the potential consequences. Despite these concerns, the court attempts to move forward. The charges are read aloud, and they are far from minor. Mr. Michael is facing multiple criminal cases. The court carefully explains each one, outlining the seriousness of the allegations and the penalties involved. These include charges related to domestic battery, disorderly conduct, and criminal damage to property. Each charge carries the possibility of jail time, fines, and long-term legal consequences. As the judge explains these charges, it becomes painfully obvious that the information isn't landing. Mr. Michael doesn't react with understanding or concern. Instead, he appears confused, occasionally interrupting, sometimes staring off-screen, sometimes moving in ways that suggest he's barely following along. The judge asks directly whether he understands what's being explained. The answer doesn't inspire confidence. The courtroom atmosphere shifts. What started as an effort to proceed with a scheduled hearing now becomes a matter of legal integrity. The judge explains that continuing under these circumstances would be irresponsible. A defendant who does not understand the proceedings cannot make informed decisions, cannot enter pleas, and cannot protect their own rights. The judge gives Mr. Michael multiple opportunities to demonstrate clarity. Each opportunity ends the same way: unclear answers, delayed responses, and behavior that raises even more red flags. At this point, patience is no longer the issue. The issue is whether justice can even function in this moment. The judge states plainly that she cannot determine whether Mr. Michael is sober. She cannot confirm that he understands his rights. And she cannot ethically proceed with the hearing. That conclusion leads to an inevitable decision. The court orders a bench warrant. Mr. Michael is to be taken into custody immediately. He will be tested for substances and held until he is sober enough to meaningfully participate in his own case. The judge explains that this is not punishment, it is necessity. Court proceedings require comprehension, awareness, and respect for the process. Officers step in to take Mr. Michael into custody. The judge notes once again how unusual the situation is. Officers already went out of their way to wake him up. He was given a chance to appear. He was given time. And still, the court was met with confusion, impairment, and disregard. As the hearing comes to an end, there is no resolution of the charges, no progress toward trial, and no sense of closure. Instead, the screen fades out on a sobering reality. When you fail to take court seriously, when you show up unprepared and possibly impaired, the system doesn't bend to accommodate chaos. This video stands as a stark reminder of how quickly poor decisions compound. Missing court leads to police involvement. Showing up impaired leads to arrest. What could have been a procedural hearing turns into handcuffs, custody, and a deeper legal hole, all playing out live, in front of a judge, officers, and the public record.